Hey everyone, and welcome to the Defining Your Life podcast, where we focus on living in our purpose, practicing presence, and activating our power in each moment. I'm Marsharelle, your resident pep talk provider, and I invite you to join me as we continue to learn, lift each other up, and strive to level up together. Because we are never finished defining our lives, and it takes a village, so let's build one. Stay tuned for the episode. Hey everyone, I hope that all is well with you and that you are feeling joy in some capacity as you navigate through this week. Last week, it was a bit gloomy in my neck of the woods, which can be challenging for me sometimes because I thrive in warm weather, in the growing season, and as long as there are no bugs, I definitely enjoy the outdoors. And I know that sounds crazy coming from someone who actually enjoys gardening. Y'all have heard me talk about it before, but I am still working on developing a relationship with the outdoors that is centered around loving that environment holistically. I can't believe that October is here, y'all. Time is certainly timing right now. It's doing its thing, and hopefully we are doing our thing right along with it, because what I'm sure you know just as well as I do, that it waits for no one. So I encourage you to continue spending time in a way that really matters to you. And if that is not something that you practice doing currently, please take the necessary steps to start prioritizing it. Now that fall is in full swing, although it doesn't really feel like it outside today. I feel like it was like in the mid 70s in my area, but it's still fall. And I've been reminded recently of the functionality of the seasons. And since we're in fall, this season in particular has been on my mind. And what's one of the main things that comes to mind when you think about the season of fall? For me, it's the obvious, right? Falling leaves, shedding, releasing, preparation. Getting into gardening has really allowed me the opportunity to appreciate the ecosystem that is nature and how everything really truly works together to serve a purpose. Sure, trees shed and they grow new, bright, vibrant leaves in the spring. But do you ever wonder, once a leaf is shed, is that really it for that leaf? I once saw a shed leaf as having no purpose aside from maybe an art project for school back in elementary. But now I have really grown to understand the importance of that which is shed. It absolutely continues to serve a purpose. It's just now in another form. A shed leaf is a very powerful thing. It replenishes the soil, going back into the earth to feed other plants in the form of compost. It protects those small organisms and creatures that need a place to hide during the harsh winter months. And also, it does serve as a keepsake, right, in the form of any art that may have been created using its dried, crisp form. You get the picture by now, but there is truly great power in all that we shed. Whenever we shed, we emerge as a more refined version of ourselves. We exfoliate to reveal smoother skin. We shed tears to release, to purge or cleanse, free ourselves, right? The act of shedding allows us to leave behind the old and lighten the load. But once we shed something, I want to encourage you to remember what that shed thing symbolizes and what it has to offer you now in its new state. Is it rebirth? Did you shed by releasing your story, and what is left behind is now a testimony to share with the world? How does what you have shed serve you now? How does it serve those you shared the process with? I want to share a few thoughts today on shedding for you to chew on, remember, reference later, apply right now, however you choose to use what I'm sharing. But number one, I want to ask you, Do you believe that what you shed needs to be automatically discarded? If you've shed something and need time to heal from it, or maybe whatever it was that you shed, you're ready to address right now, I want you to just take a moment to think about if this is something that you need to discard. Sometimes we may still feel an attachment to something that we think we should be done with, and there is most certainly a reason why. So if you're feeling that tugging, that trouble of finally shedding it completely, there may be a reason why you are still holding on to that thing. Maybe it's not time for you to fully discard it just yet. Number 2, I want you to ask yourself, how have I repurposed what I have shed? Think of all of the thrift stores out there, resale sites like eBay, rent to own options. Well, stuff, whether it's material or emotional, has a lot more value than we often consider. I'm going to go back to my garden produce example for a moment. Many of us only use a certain part of the produce that we consume. So the outer layer of, say, an onion, or the flowers from fruits, the green tops of things like beets and carrots, these are things that we can actually eat. But oftentimes we discard these components, only thinking of them as part of the vehicle that was needed to get the main part of the plant onto our plates. What we end up discarding, though, are tons of beneficial nutrients that our bodies could use to thrive. Or we could use those components as compost that goes back into the earth to feed what's to come. We always have to remember that we aren't here to waste anything in life. If you're getting nothing from what you've shed, a lesson, a new purpose that's been revealed, transformation for your testimony. If you've received nothing at all in a new form, you have essentially wasted your shedding process. So reflect on what you've shed and think about what it is that you can yield from that old skin. Number 3, I want you to ask yourself, is there something in my life right now that I need to shed? It is fall after all, So what in your life needs to be shed right now? What is it time to see the next iteration of? And let's be clear, right? Shedding does not always need to start from a place of something negative, dark, right? Sometimes it can start from a positive place, a place of good, right? Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Things are going well, but you've become complacent when it's really time for you to level up. Your current business model may be like your favorite old pair of sneakers. You know them well. You're comfortable with them and you're comfortable where you are. But eventually you start to notice that the soles of those sneakers are wearing down. And once that happens, those sneakers that were once your go-tos for everything will soon become uncomfortable because it's time to shed them and get you a new pair with a thick, fresh sole. After all, it's the sole that supports you. Just like new skin is supple and buoyant, it bounces back much easier than skin that is old, loose, and dry. Are you holding on to something that should be shed in order for you to be ushered into your new season in tip-top shape? Don't let complacency hold you back from the fresh new version of you that can pick up where you left off with that old pair of sneaks because they could no longer carry you. You've still got miles to run. So lace up those new kicks and get back on that track. I'd like to leave you with a poem by Butterflies Rising today. I believe the poem's untitled, but it says, "This is a growing season of change, of turning, of shedding, of letting things fall away and fall apart and come undone and be uncovered, and then a space of surrender and being, just being. And the reflections here are temporary, so take them in and honor them and be honest with them and own them. But then forgive them and don't stay in them. Let it all go. Let yourself bloom. Wasn't that beautiful, y'all? I thought it was. Anyway, I encourage you to let yourself bloom. Bloom from that which you have shed, that which you released to give back to the ground upon which you are standing. And take the fruits of what was fertilized and share it with others so they won't be afraid to bloom too. Shedding is a good thing, y'all. Renewal is amazing. So don't keep yourself from it. Thanks so much for listening today. If what you heard has been beneficial, don't forget to share, rate, like, and follow the pod. None of these things cost you anything except a few moments of your time, and I hope that you are willing to spare them. I can't wait to chat with you all next week. Take care until then.